Howdy, friend. Sam Houston here, hoping you're living in high cotton. And if you're lucky enough to be in Texas, I know you're most of the way there. Now enjoy your daily dose of Texas history and Texas pride.
Howdy, friend. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast and your Texas history roundup for March 16th. In 1758, about 2,000 Comanches, Tejas, Bidais, Tonkawas, and other Indians attacked Mission Santa Cruz de Sensaba, killing 8 residents, including 2 priests, the 17 Indians, and destroying the mission. It had been founded in 1757 to minister to frontier Indians but could not defend itself, even though Presidio was nearby. The loss of this mission affirmed Comanche dominance over the region and essentially halted westward Spanish territorial expansion. In 1836, the convention at Washington on the Brazos ended with the adoption of a constitution for the new Republic of Texas and the formation of a provisional government. These actions took place late in the evening and into the morning hours. David G. Burnett was named interim president, and Lorenzo de Zavala became interim vice president. This government remained in place until October 22, 1836, when Sam Houston was installed as the first elected president. This same day, Captain Amon B. King, members of his company, and some awards troops, approximately 25 in all, were executed by Mexican forces near Refugio. The bodies were left on the prairie, and the remains were not buried until after the Battle of San Jacinto. In 1934, the remains were reinterred in the Mount Calvin Catholic Cemetery near Refugio. This same day, Houston's retreating caravan of infantry, mounted troops, and civilians reached the Colorado River at Burnham's Ferry after a 15-mile march in chilling rain. This day and the following, the Army and civilians were ferried to the east side of the swollen Colorado. Also on this day, 2 6-pounders, which would be the Texans' only artillery at the Battle of San Jacinto, arrived in New Orleans and were taken possession of by William Bryan. In 1861, Governor Sam Houston was summoned to take the oath of allegiance to the Confederacy, a legislative requirement passed 2 days earlier. When Houston did not appear after several calls, the office of governor was declared vacant. Houston composed a final address to the people of Texas and left for home. Those favoring the Confederacy were relieved, as there were many Texans who would have stood by Houston if he had tried to fight in support of the Union. Edward Clark was inaugurated governor in Houston's place. And it's hard to get mad at Houston about all that stuff. Ideally, what probably the proper position would have said, my allegiance is only to Texas. Not necessarily the Union, but doesn't necessarily have to be the Confederacy either. That it should have at least made that clear, even if the Texas Congress required it. In 1896, the U.S. Supreme Court handed down its decision on ownership of Greer County. On February 8, 1860, the Texas legislature formed Greer County, located largely in the southwestern corner of what is currently Oklahoma. The court ruled that the main fork of the Red River, not the Prairie Dog Town Fork, was the northern boundary of Texas, and that the true 100th meridian was much further west than had been assumed. Thus, much of Greer County was in the Indian Territory, and this lost area became part of Oklahoma. In 1903, Judge Roy Bean died of lung and heart ailments in a saloon at Langtree, and was buried in Del Rio. It has been said that his shrewdness, audacity, unscrupulousness, and humor, aided by his lack of dramatization, made him an enduring part of American folklore. In 1909, Robert F. Batiste, chief of the Alabama Coushatta Indians from 1970 to 1994, was born on the reservation in Polk County. He was well respected by his tribe, as well as by non-members, and was largely responsible for developing a reservation tourist industry and other community projects. In 1909, the town of Lubbock was incorporated. On December 9, 1890, leaders of 2 settlements, Old Lubbock and Monterey, had agreed to combine the town into one new community called Lubbock, which became the county seat in 1891. And I might add, the location of some of the best years of my life. Wreck 'em. All right, that is your Texas History Roundup for March 16th. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you back here on the next one. You take care.
Well, there you have it. If you like our podcast, check us out at feedbandit.com. There you'll find awesome Texas First outdoors gear and apparel. Your purchase helps support the Bandits and keeps this podcast on the air, fighting for you and for Texas. Remember, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Until next time.